we don't need roads.
Gentlemen, good to see you both. How are we doing today?
Jake, how you doing?
Great.
I'm doing so well. I always tell you guys how much of an honor this is for me. Seriously, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you.
Well, we appreciate you. Great to see you again.
Good to see you guys. I'm going to jump into this. I feel like movies about the devil have always taught us that you got to be careful what you wish for. And I'm really curious what your professional experience of that idea has been. What was something you guys always hoped and dreamed for your career early on, but when it came true, it wasn't exactly what you thought it was going to be, or maybe wasn't worth the price you had to pay for it?
Wow, that is a really good question.
Yeah, just to be clear, we never wished for anything from the devil.
Yeah. That's not where it came from.
And in our story, Liam, the young boy, inadvertently writes a letter, and it goes to Satan instead of Santa.
Yeah.
And so he has to deal with that. But he's such a good kid that Jack Black's devilish Santa Claus sort of is won over by his niceness and all, and he changes a lot of his own outlook. So it's ours is a comedy, it hopefully has a very happy ending.
Yeah, and also, yeah, it's a I will say this, like, one thing I've learned being in this business is it doesn't make you happier or sadder. It makes you better be happy before, or you're not going to get happy. And I always tell people this, like 9 years we were knocking around before we got our first movie made. I was as happy as I am today. So it's not, don't think it's going to change everything.
You're exactly right. And then that's the case, I think, for a lot of aspects. So I always tell people you're never going to have a successful relationship unless you're happy being alone. Like there's a value in being happy being alone.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I would be so happy to be alone right now. No.
I got to tell you guys, there are a lot of directors who talk about this idea that maybe all of their movies exist in the same universe. I love Jack's Satan so much, and I would love for him to cross over into some of your other movies. I'm curious, what is another iconic character from one of your movies you would love to see get the 3-wish treatment with Satan, just to see how it would all turn out, and maybe even what that person might wish for?
Well, we have been lucky to work with Jack on other movies already. We worked with him on Shallow Hell, and we just think he's a tremendous actor. He was the perfect guy to play our main character here, and he brought what he brings to it is he is a little diabolical, a little bit sinister and all that, but in a playful sort of way where you go with him, and it's very funny, and you don't take it too seriously. It doesn't get too dark. It's comic.
Mm-hmm. I in a way though, like it's interesting if you think about like Hal kind of got his wish in a way. So in a weird way, like it's I feel like Jack's kind of played both sides of the coin, both getting his wish and also being the person who grants him in a way.
Yeah, that took 10 years to think of, by the way.
Honestly, worth the wait.
Yeah, we were working on that script on and off for 10 years, and it finally came together. We're like, that's it. And that's why, like, this is a 10-year process, like a lot of our movies, by the way. And but this one in particular, people said, why didn't you make it back then? It's like, wasn't ready. We didn't figure it out. We didn't crack it until recently.
Right.
Worth the wait. I love that I get to talk with you both before this year is out, because obviously, and I know you guys have probably heard this a lot, the 30th anniversary of Dumb and Dumber, which was, honest to God, I'm not a very formative movie in my life. I've always had this story I've wanted to ask you about. I always heard the story about Jim Carrey, Want to Hear the Most Annoying Sound of the World, that like that moment wasn't in the script, or you guys hadn't really planned for it, that it just kind of came out of nowhere. Because I've always heard if you look at Jeff Daniels, he looks a little surprised in that moment. I'm sort of curious, is there truth behind that story?
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%.
He did that on the day. We were watching him, and we burst out laughing too. Like it was just something he throws in there, like all the great comedic actors do, is they try something different that's not on the script. And Jim's a master. As is Jack Black.
Yeah, and we also learned early on in our careers with Jim and Jeff, because Jeff Daniels does the same stuff, not to yell cut when the scene's over, because you never know what they're going to do. And I remember in Kingpin, Bill Murray at the end of a scene's over, and we were about to yell cut, but I just said, let's let it roll. And he looks over at the the women sitting at the table, he goes, hello. And this woman goes, she's an extra. She goes, hi. He goes, not you, hello. And it's in there, and it's one of the funniest little parts, but it's just Bill Murray being Bill Murray.
Is that still the case? Will you still let a scene just go an extra 2 or 3 beats longer just to see what the hell happens?
Absolutely. Yeah. We'd be foolish not to. Yeah. So many of the funny things happen are not scripted, but you set it up that sort of thing can happen if you let them run with it.
And another example is like in Something About Mary, when Ben comes up, he goes, what about Brett Favre? That wasn't written. That was just, and he hadn't even done that, like rehearsed it. And we're on the side of
I think he just didn't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
Guys, they're pulling me out of here. I just want to end by just saying thank you. So, like I said, I was raised on copies of your movies, and that sort of taught me what my style of humor was and what I found funny. And some of the greatest laughs I've ever had in my life have been the result of you guys. So for that, I just want to say thank you, and I truly do appreciate your time.
That's very kind. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Appreciate you guys.
We don't need roads.